Greetings, Commanders, Cerebrates, and Executors. Today we're talking more about mining, specifically advanced mining techniques. And we've got two main subjects, saturation and mineral walking. The basic idea of saturation is how many workers can you have mining a given set of minerals or a given Vespene geyser at once to get as much value as you want, but to not have workers being wasted and doing nothing. The fundamental fact that's important about saturation is that only one worker at a time can be mining a single mineral patch, and only one worker at a time can be inside an extractor, assimilator, or refinery, the buildings you put on top of Vespene geysers. If I select these three drones and I right-click them on these minerals, you'll notice one of them starts mining. This one just sits there staring at the minerals until the first drone finishes mining and then begins mining that same mineral patch. And now this drone has to wait his turn until this one finishes mining, and this one then begins mining once this one's done mining. Only one worker can mine from a single mineral patch at a single time. Workers do have the ability to automatically figure out that there's something else mining on that mineral patch and spread out to other mineral patches, as you see here. I originally right-clicked these workers all on this one mineral patch, but now they're mining on 3 different mineral patches so that they don't get in each other's way. But because workers have to make a trip from the mineral patch to the hatchery and back to the mineral patch, there's some time when that worker is not mining this mineral patch, and another worker could be mining from that mineral patch. So it's not as simple as you only ever want one worker per the number of mineral patches that you are mining from. Just 8 workers for 8 mineral patches is not going to give you the fastest possible mineral income. The same principle applies with gas mining. If we send these drones to mine from the gas geyser, you'll notice only one drone can be inside the geyser at a time. Just as I initially commanded the drones to mine here, this gas is very low on value, I'm going to start mining over here where we still have some more value on that gas geyser. So you notice, as I assign the drones to mine, only one of them goes inside the geyser initially, and the others stay outside while they wait for the drone that's already inside to come back out. Once you have these 3 drones all mining in succession, you always have one drone inside the geyser and then 2 drones traveling back and forth between the hatchery and the extractor, which is why we're not seeing any drones waiting outside the extractor. But if we assign a few more drones to mine from this extractor, we're going to start seeing drones who are waiting, drones who aren't doing anything. And this is the other end of the problem with saturation. On the one side, when we're dealing with saturation, we do not want to have so few workers that we could be getting more resources than we are. But on the other side, we don't want to have workers who are waiting, doing nothing, while they're trying to get opportunities to mine because we have too many workers assigned for one extractor, one Vespene geyser, one mineral patch. So we've got 5 drones mining this extractor, and you can see 5 is too many. In fact, if your extractor is as close to your main base structure as it can be placed, then 3 workers will give you optimal mining in almost every case. The general rule is you want 3 workers mining gas on each gas geyser. Minerals are a little more complicated because drones can and will spread out between different mineral patches if they find that the mineral patch they're trying to mine from is already occupied. A good rule of thumb is still 2 to 3 workers per mineral patch, but because you have a lot of mineral patches, and because minerals are generally more plentiful than gas, you can usually get away with only 2 workers per mineral patch. You don't have to make a point of getting 3 workers per patch in every case. The more workers you assign to mine from a given cluster of minerals, of course, the faster you're going to mine those minerals out and have to go find more minerals in other places. But the rule of thumb you're looking for good saturation is 2 to 3 workers per mineral patch that you're mining, and 3 workers for every Vespene geyser. Of course, you also want to put your main base as close as you can get it to your minerals and to your gas, because the rules of thumb I'm giving you, 3 workers per mineral patch, 3 workers per Vespene geyser, only makes sense if your main base building is as close to the minerals as possible. If it's further away, your workers spend more time traveling to the main base to drop off their resources, and they spend less time sitting at the resources mining, relatively, which means you want more workers total who are mining in order to have the same rate of income. So you want your main bases as close to the minerals and as close to the gas as possible. Now, our other subject for today is mineral walking. Specifically, this actually works for minerals and gas both, but I'm calling it mineral walking because that's the situation it's most commonly used in. I'm just going to assign all our drones to mine from these minerals, so we've got more workers who are busy in this area. When workers are mining minerals, they automatically move through other units to get where they're going. They actually do not collide with other units. They don't have physical collisions while they're mining, while they're moving back and forth with minerals, either to deposit minerals or to mine minerals. I've got these hydralisks right in the middle of my mineral line, and you can notice the drones are walking right through the hydralisks in a lot of cases. They're not having to deviate to go around the hydras. But if we select these drones and right-click them over here, they do have to move around the hydralisks. They have to stop, figure out what they're doing, and redecide on their paths. So when workers are mining, when you right-click them on a mineral patch, or when they're returning minerals to a main base, and same thing with gas, when you right-click them on a gas geyser, or when they're returning gas to a main base, they have no collision. This is initially just a nice, convenient fact to mean that your resource gathering doesn't get interrupted. But there are a couple of interesting purposes that you can put this to. The main one is called drilling. And the idea of drilling is you can use the fact that the workers can move in between enemy units, not in between, but right through units, to force enemy units out of their position. Imagine that an enemy force was sitting here in the entrance to my base and was blocking me from getting out. And they've got their units on hold position, so their units will not move. I can try to command my units to walk past. It doesn't work. They physically can't get through. This area is blocked by enemy units. But I can command my drones to mine some minerals that are on the other side of the enemy position, and they'll go right through. Because of mineral walking. Because they will not have collision while they're trying to mine. Okay, that in itself isn't that useful. The enemies will see the drones and probably kill them. But something that is a bit more helpful is you can not just push your drones through the enemy forces, but when your drones are on top of the enemy forces, you can actually stop them from mining and cause them to regain their unit collision. And this forces the enemy units to move to get out of the way, even if they're on hold position. So you can disrupt enemy formations and enemy blockades like this. I'm going to right-click on these minerals to get these drones to go mine the minerals. They're going to move through the Zerglings, and as they're in the middle of the Zerglings, I'm going to press the stop command on the drones, which means the drones will stop attempting to mine, and they will regain their collision, and they'll force the Zerglings to move. Watch this. So those Zerglings, they were on hold position. They were forced to move because a worker suddenly regained unit collision on top of them, and you're not allowed to occupy the same space as other units. This is called drilling, when you select some workers and send them to mine at a mineral patch such that you can get them to phase through enemy forces, then stop your workers right on top of the enemy forces and disrupt their positions. It can be very useful for breaking walls that the enemy is forming with their units, especially in low economy early game situations when you don't have a lot of other tools to work with. One important thing about mineral walking is it only works when you have real vision of the minerals or gas. You have to genuinely be able to see them in the game, not just to have seen them once before and have the fog of war over them. Let me get a Hydralisk, and I forgot there are Marines on this map. Okay, I'm going to gain vision of some minerals over here. And then I'm going to get these Hydralisks killed. So I don't have real vision of these minerals anymore. I can see that they are here, or they were here last I looked, but I don't have vision of them because I don't have any units or buildings nearby. If I right-click the drones on these minerals. Let's see how they behave. They cannot phase through these Zerglings. They're not mineral walking. And that's because I don't have vision of the minerals that I right-clicked them on. They'll try to make their way to those minerals, to mine those minerals, but they can't actually phase through these units because you only get the no-unit collision when you can see the minerals that you right-clicked your workers on. So if I right-click the drones on these minerals, it'll work. As you saw, that drone was moving through the other Zerglings to try to get to these minerals. I'll just do it again. There we go. So, mineral walking and saturation. Of course, as I said, you can also do mineral walking with a Vespene Geyser. Works just as well. Works the same way. So those are some useful, more advanced things to know about mining.